Okay, so we're going to do lesson 44 out of Saxon 7-6. Make sure you have the worksheet that looks like the one on your screen out in front of you, because we're going to work through this together. Now this lesson is about dividing decimal numbers by whole numbers. So the first one I have on our sample is the kind of problem that we have done for a long time, and it just says, what is 48 divided by 2? Well, 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 times 2 is 4, so I write it down there and I do my subtraction. 4 minus 4 is 0. I have to bring down my 8. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 times 4 is in fact 8. And when I subtract that, I get 0. And I'm done. So that's the standard kind of division, and there are no decimals involved in that. Here we go with number 2, which looks really similar, but this time we have 4.8 divided by 2. Well, you're going to love how easy this is, because this problem is the same as this problem. The only difference is this decimal. So I float that decimal straight up, and I take notice, because later it's going to be important, that there are no decimals in my divisor. So after I float that decimal straight up, I say I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to do the problem just like there was no decimal. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. I do my subtraction. 4 minus 4 is 0. What do I do next? Bring down my 8. And then 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Do my subtraction. 0. And it's done. So the answer to the number 2 looks similar to the number 1, except it's a multiple of 10 here, because here I have 2.4, here I have 24. Let's do 36 divided by 6. Well, 6 goes into 3 0 times. 6 times 0 is 0. Do my subtraction. 3 minus 0 is 3. Bring down my 6. 6 goes into 36 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. And I'm done, because I ended up with 0. Alright, same kind of thing, only now we have 3.6 divided by 6. Let's float up our decimal right away. This little decimal goes right up above. 6 goes into 3 0 times. 6 times 0 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Bring down the 6. 6 goes into 36 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract it. 0. And I'm done. So I don't have anything more to bring down, and I got a remainder of 0. Alright, so here we go with number 5. Now I want you to turn off the video and do 5 and 6, and then turn the video back on, and I will do it, and you can see if you got the same answer that I did. Alright, turn me off. Alright, hopefully you turned it off and you did these problems on your own. So now I'm going to do them, and we can see if we got the same answer. So here I have 36 hundredths divided by 3. 3 goes into 0 0 times. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract. I'm ignoring that decimal for now. I'm going to bring down the 3. 3 goes into 3 1 time. 3 times 1 is 3. Then I bring down the 6. 3 goes into 6 2 times. But I have to remember to float up that decimal. So here we go. We take this decimal and we float it straight up. So 36 hundredths divided by 3 is 12 hundredths. Okay, for 2 1/10 divided by 7. 7 goes into 2 0 times. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down the 1. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 7 times 3 is 21. And I have a 0. But I got to remember to float up this decimal. Here he goes. So 2 1/10 divided by 7 is 3/10. So there's the first part of lesson 44, and it's just the idea of floating up the decimal when you're doing division by whole numbers. Let's go on to the next part, which is when you have to have zeros as placeholders because things won't go in so easily. So let's do this first one. This is 1 2/10 divided by 3. Well, here 3 won't go into 1. So I put a 0 as a placeholder. 3 times 0 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. I bring down the 2. Now, 3 goes into 12 4 times. And 3 times 4 is 12. So 12 minus 12 is 0, and I'm done. But I can't forget, I have to float up that decimal right there. So 1 2/10 divided by 3 is 4/10. Now let's do this one, which is 0.12, which is 12 100ths, divided by 3. Same procedure. Let's float up the decimal right off this time. Ready? Here he goes. Floating him straight up. 3 goes into 0 0 times. 3 times 0 is 0. I'm subtracting. I'm bringing down my 1. 3 goes into 1. Uh-oh. 0 times again. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down that 2. Now I can do something. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract and you have 0 left over. So 12 hundredths divided by 3 equals 4 hundredths. Here we go with number 3. We're going to do a little shorthand way for this. So here, if I look at where this 8 is, I've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 8 thousandths divided by 8. Well, we can skip all these multiplying by zeros because we can just say, well, 8 will go into 0, 0 times. Float up your decimal. 8 goes into 0, 0 times. 8 goes into 0, 0 times. 8 goes into 8, 1 time. 8 times 1 is 8, and I'm done because I have a remainder of 0. Here we go with number 4. Let's see what I have here. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So here I have 24 thousandths divided by 6. Alright, let's do it that shorthand way. 6 will go into 0, 0 times. Float up my decimal. 6 will go into 0, 0 times. 6 will go into 2, 0 times. 6 will go into 24, 4 times. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. I subtract, I get 0, and I'm done. So 24 thousandths divided by 6 is 4 thousandths. Okay, here's number 5. 0.00063 divided by 3. Alright, using my shorthand, 3 goes into 0, 0 times. Float up that decimal. 3 goes into this 0, 0 times. It's really important that you keep your numbers lined up. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. Now, 3 will go into 6. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Next, I have to bring down my 3. And 3 goes into 3 1 time. 3 times 1 is 3. I have 0 left over, so I'm done. So there's lesson 44. It's just dividing just like you always divide, but keep track of filling your spaces with zeros, and never, ever, ever forget to float up your decimal.